Welcome to Mindset Matters. Today, what I really wanted to talk about is depression and anxiety and also self-hatred. I know I've been talking a lot about that, but let's really dig deep today. So I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but this is something I go through a lot, is that sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you've just woke up and then you get through the day, right? And you don't do that much stuff. So you might just do simple things. And by the end of the day, by the afternoon, you have this severe depression feeling in your stomach that you feel like you didn't really do much. And then the next day, the same thing happens, and the next day. And then ultimately you get this feeling like you've just been living the same life and you've been doing the same things. And ultimately, I feel like it can really crush you inside, that it just feels like, what's the point when all you do is the same thing? Like, what's the point where we get up and then we go through this stuff, we don't do much, and then suddenly it's nighttime again? I have this severe, it just feels so strong sometimes. And it's very hard for me to work out how I can get through it, because right now I am not in a place where I could just go somewhere and experience something very new for a period of time. Like, I can't just pack up, go on a holiday, and then experience a different country for a couple of weeks. That's not possible at the moment. So, and I know that's going to be the reality for a lot of other people too. What I would love to do one day is to be able to experience something new, because I feel like the human mind craves new things. We crave that new experience. We crave experiencing like a different culture, maybe a different surrounding, and it's something different. So that when we wake up every day and we just live the same life, it can get really depressing. Like for me, I just personally have this really tight knot in my stomach, and just feels like this. It's hard to explain. Like, sometimes something will trigger it, maybe some events will trigger it, and you'll experience that even more than other times, where like sometimes you'll feel that a bunch of little things, like it could just be like an argument with someone, it could be something going wrong, it could just be the loss of someone or loss of a pet or anything. It could just be some kind of loss, and it could just be something else that kind of piles together, and all of a sudden it makes you feel like the world is crumbling because everything seems to be going wrong, and you just get this like overwhelming grief feeling that it really does feel like physical to me. Like, sometimes it feels very physical. And what I'm actually going to really try to do right now, because I am very motivated right now, how do I get this motivated? I listen to something that's motivating. I feel like that really helps, because when you listen to someone motivating, that person is like telling you to go do something different. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm actually going to go, after this podcast, I hope I still have time, I'm going to have to cook first, I'm going to go for a run. Like, I am going to go for a run. I don't think I've ever purposely felt this motivated to just go for a run, but I feel like that could really do me some good, and maybe you too. So it could just be something like, just move really fast. Sometimes that can really, really help your body feel excited for a second. It could just really make you feel like, wow, you're moving around, like you've done something. That I just feel like that's very important. And also, of course, if you're in a situation where life is the same every single day, that's going to be very tough, because for me, that is one of the most difficult things, that it feels like I can't see a way out. For me, it just feels like I can't see a way out of living a different kind of life where I'm doing the same thing every day, and somehow like this really heavy feeling in my stomach, and I just feel like in order to get rid of that, I need to mask it. So what I end up happening a lot of times for me is that I know, okay, I get this depressed feeling. It's like an automatic, like when you wake up, it's almost like your default state is slightly lower than others. I am writing my own book, with my own life story, and I have written this little section in. I just haven't worked on it lately, but one of the things I wrote about is it feels like sometimes certain experiences in your life, certain situations, and whatever that you're going through could land you at this state where you just wake up and your default state is slightly lower than others. So a lot of times you might see, oh, I love to go out and buy things. I love to go out and spend money. It really is just because I need that little bit of a pickup. Like I need to do something nice on that day to make me feel happier. If I don't do that, sometimes it's very hard. And I've noticed that if I go weeks without spending any money, I do feel more depressed than others. Well, if I just go out and I buy something small, it could be like a $10 little trinket. It could be even like a really nice treat, like delicious cookie, or it could be like a coffee, or it could be something I really love. And it could be like a little mug. Like sometimes you can get mugs or earrings, sometimes earrings. Just getting something small really helps elevate my mood, even if it's temporary. Like I know some people will say, oh, don't buy things if it's not like whatever, like just save your money. But I don't believe that completely. I do think that if you have a little bit of money and you want to spend a little, it is really nice to buy something small for yourself every day. Give yourself something really meaningful that it's gonna make you happy. It's gonna make you feel excited. Even if it's for only an hour or two, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow you can do that same thing and it could bring your mood up a little. Again, who cares if you have to do that every single day for the rest of your life? If you're doing something little and it's making you happy, just do it. Like I absolutely am not like the type of person to say, oh, you need to find happiness without buying things. You need to find happiness within yourself. Sometimes it's just hard. Like I have to say, sometimes your situation is not in the spot where you can do that. Or sometimes I feel like there's almost a little bit of a off balance within my mind. It's not really in my control. I just can't seem to balance that mood in my mind. I'm like naturally just feeling low sometimes. I wake up and I just feel low and I don't know why, and I can't do anything, and it feels like no matter what I try, I can't think myself to feel happier. I'm sure if people can just think themselves and feel happy, they would do that. I'm sure that if anyone could just think, oh, let me just today think positive and I'm just going to have the best day. I'm going to have the best mood. I'm sure everyone in the world will be doing that because we all want to feel happy, right? We want to feel excited and motivated and happy. So sometimes it takes a little more than that. Sometimes I've learned, my lesson is that sometimes it's not your fault that you just don't feel happy all the time. It just sometimes is. Maybe it's experiences of your past. Maybe it's the situation you're in now. Maybe you're just feeling a little trapped. Maybe you have to deal with some people that are giving you a hard time. Maybe you're dealing with people who make you feel bad about yourself or put you down for some reason. It could be anything of that sort, and it could just bring your mood down. Or it could be like a hormone imbalance, or it could be just not getting enough sleep. A lot of these things contribute to mood. So I feel like there's just so much to it. I'm so sick and tired of people who just say, like, just go and think positive. That does not work all the time. Like I really, really do believe in you have to do everything in your power to bring yourself that little bit of joy and happiness. And that could just be something like buying yourself something little every day. I'm not saying to go and spend like freaking $300 every day that you don't have, like I've done sometimes, and buy something really expensive and then have no money for the rest of the week. I'm really, really just loving the idea of buying something small and just something that will bring you a little bit of joy. Sometimes it's not even, like I find that sometimes ordering things online doesn't give you that same effect because you order it and you don't even see it for a week or two. And then you end up just like, oh, why do I bother? I may as well just go buy something. So I find that it really helps to actually go to a store and buy something or get something really delicious or like a treat. And for me, it's like being able to film that also makes me really, really happy. It's like, oh wow, I collected something different. It's kind of gives me that really, really huge amount of joy. And I feel like that's very important for some people, and just being able to feel happy. I really do believe that. So when it comes to depression for me, I just feel like it's very important to know what is the reason behind it. Sometimes it could be more than just you're feeling down. It could also be some people. They may be giving you a hard time. You may not even realize it. Perhaps you're with toxic people in your life and you just can't get rid of them because they're maybe part of your family and you can't just say, screw you, I don't want to ever talk to you again, right? So sometimes you just have to deal with it. And I do really, really sympathize with that because sometimes I have to deal with that too, with just it's kind of like, I don't really want to go into it because I kind of don't want to talk about it with too much detail, because it's about someone, and I don't really like to talk about people in that way. But let's just say that sometimes it is hard when you have to deal with people in your family who might be very toxic and put you down for something, or make you feel like you're a horrible human being. I think that's one of the worst things that I've experienced growing up, is that sometimes I've been told things like, oh, you're just a selfish person, or you are just like someone who's really abusive or really horrible. You're exactly like him, therefore you are just horrible. And maybe that person doesn't mean it in that way. Maybe they're saying that because they just want you to be better or something. Maybe it was like, I don't know what it is, but those words could really just make you feel absolute trash about yourself. And then you go around feeling this severe self-hatred, and you just find it so hard to do anything because you're always feeling that. Like you might want to make videos and you can't do that because you'd have to, like, one of the things I had trouble with was making videos, because you know what it means? Like, if you have self-hatred and you have to watch yourself back on the freaking editing screen, or like just listening to yourself back to make sure everything sounds great, that's going to be a torture, because you're going to have to deal with yourself. And that is one of the most difficult things someone with low self-esteem can ever get through. But I've gone through it, and I'm telling you, it's possible. Sometimes it may even change your mind a little about yourself. That's what I've noticed, is that in the past, I used to have, like, I go through stages of sometimes something will happen. It makes me feel like I'm trash, right? And then I'm just feeling really, really bad about yourself. Very poor self-esteem. I just feel absolutely crap. Like, I just shouldn't even exist, right? And then I'll just keep making videos because I know it's something I love doing. I'll make videos, and then guess what? I'm going to have to watch them back at some point, right? And then sometimes what really made me shocked is sometimes I actually watch a video and I make myself laugh, like, sometimes. And I think, oh my God, maybe I'm not as horrible as I think I am. Maybe I am not that, like, terrible. Maybe I'm just trying my best. Maybe I'm still worthy. Just that's the kind of things that go through my head sometimes when I have to deal with, like, having to listen to myself a lot or watch myself back. Because sometimes I almost like to watch, like, you know, sometimes right now I'm doing a game let's play kind of series on Stardew Valley, and it's one of my favorite things to do because it makes me happy. The game just makes me really, really happy, and I love it with all my heart. And the other day I was just feeling really trash, and I put it on just because I put on my own video, because I kind of need to listen to it to make sure it sounded right, because I don't like to just upload it without ever hearing it first, because I'm, like, nervous if something went wrong or if the audio doesn't work. So I do test it. And the other day I find myself actually enjoying listening to my own video. And I'm like, wow, would I really have done that? Like, what's going on? And then I was surprised to find that my self-hatred kind of went down a little, because I'm actually making myself laugh in the videos. I'm like, oh, I'm not as bad as I thought. And then I have to remember that sometimes situations happen. You have to kind of just deal with those situations. But you have to know your own self-worth, and it's not something that people can tell you. It's really, really important for you to know your own self-worth. And I do not believe that people, it's hard for me to explain. Okay, so I've come to this revelation, right? We are not born with low self-esteem. When we're born, we come out of the womb, we, like, want things, right? We're just like, I want milk or whatever. I don't think we even have memories at that time. But we weren't born hating ourselves. We weren't born with this self-hatred that we're wrong. We weren't born like that. Do you know what that means? It means that it should not be our default way of thinking. And then you have to think, what is the cause of us feeling that way? Did someone else or someone else's words or action put you into that state of you feeling trash about yourself? And if someone did do that, then it's not your fault, and you need to realize that. And then you have to know how it is absolutely possible for you to get out of that mindset and still live a very meaningful life without the self-hatred that you feel right now. I just feel like that is one of the most important things, because I cannot stand it when I have that self-hatred, It is really horrible. Like, I just don't want to even look at myself. I don't want to hear myself. I don't want to, like, anything to do with myself just makes me cringe even more. And it's like, normally I deal with that, but when situations happen, certain arguments happen, it's kind of worse than ever. So I kind of go through the stage where I'm kind of almost avoiding. And I know in the past, if I've gone through something that reminded me of how much I must suck kind of mode or moment, I would definitely be put off making videos, because I'd be like, oh, why would I even want to listen back? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to do this? Why? And then I would just be put off making videos, and I would just probably want to avoid it for the rest of the week or year. And sometimes I have burned out, or I have stopped doing things I love because of that reason, because of the self-hatred. I just couldn't feel like I could do that. But you know what I'm doing now that is so meaningful? I'm grabbing that energy and I'm shoving it into the freaking microphone, and I'm like, shove it, like, screw that feeling. I am absolutely not going to let that stupid feeling ruin me, rule me, and tell me what to do and tell me how to feel, because that is just not right. I want other people to be in that same state, even if I don't completely feel fine at the moment, because I know I don't. I'm walking around carrying that heavy feeling. Sometimes you do that. You just have to walk around with those feelings. But I want to really, really give some kind of, like, I don't know, words of encouragement, I guess is the best way to say it, is to tell you that please don't let that stop you. Don't let that voice in your head that tells you you're not worthy to stop you from doing things that are meaningful to you. Just because you believe that other people don't think it or want to hear it, that's all just that's either a thought that someone else put in your head or you thought of it somehow. That is not the truth. And you can't also just allow those experiences and voices to rule your life. You have to fight them. Sometimes it is really hard to fight them. I have to admit, like, I have to get some kind of external help. I'm not able to do it myself sometimes. Maybe that's why I'm so motivated to make this podcast, because I want to, like, pull you out of that hole. I want to pull you out of that stupid freaking, that rut that, like, I don't even know how to describe that. Sometimes when I get passionate, I can't even think straight because I can't think of what I'm saying. I want just to get you out of that mind trap where it's like, oh, I suck, or I'm not worthy, or I'm horrible, or nobody would like me. That's just wrong. People tell you that because maybe they want you to feel bad. That's why they're saying that. Maybe they want you to feel bad. They want to, like, maybe they're hurt in some ways and they want revenge and they want you to feel that way. They want you to feel bad about yourself. It's not exactly 100% true, but sometimes people will say shit just to make you feel bad because they're hurt, because maybe you've pissed them off in some ways, but just pissing them off in some ways doesn't mean that you're bad. You know, everyone makes mistakes. I've done a lot of things to piss people off, honestly, and I do remember a time when I was pissed off at someone and I wanted to hurt them by saying horrible things. And I really regret that. But I know that's a thing. That is a thing that someone can do. So just because someone said something to you that make you feel like you're a horrible person, or that you shouldn't be like this, or you shouldn't be like that, or ha ha ha, like you've been so stupid just because you got upset about something that's so insignificant. Have you heard that before? Like, they're telling you, oh, look at you, you got upset when someone, like, you know, pointed that out. Like, that's happened a lot of times. It's like, so what? We're allowed to be upset. We're allowed to have emotions. Stop treating us like a robot that is not supposed to have emotions. You have to also question, does that person who's telling you this thing's off, are they living by their own rule? Are they allowed emotions? If they are, then why can't you, right? A lot of times people will put you down for having certain emotions. Oh, you're so silly to be upset over this. Oh, you're so silly to feel sad about this. But when something comes up, they're the first person to be sad over something like that. Because that's the one thing growing up, I've always had that, is that I've been told, because I got sad about something, because I grieved over certain things, I was always told that, oh, look at you, you're so stupid, or whatever. Like, and if you've been told that, shove that up their ass. That is not a good way of thinking, and that is not how you should see yourself. You should not at all feel ashamed of yourself in any way because of how you feel. You should be absolutely not made to feel like you should be ashamed of yourself. In fact, good on you for expressing how you feel. Good on you. Good on you for expressing how you feel. Good on you for being brave enough to express how you feel. Sometimes it's hard. The fact that you've done it sometimes is like, wow, that's absolutely applaudable. Yet that person, I feel like I'm speaking about a specific event here because this is kind of really just something that's raw in my mind is coming up. Like that person will say, oh, you got all upset last time and you were like, oh, like, you know, I guess like whenever that comes up, it just really upsets me because all my life I've been feeling so ashamed whenever I got upset or sad about something. I feel like I just shouldn't even exist because I should crawl in a hole and because I get made fun of. And I've gotten to a point where I'm like, that's it. No, you don't have that rule for yourself. You know, a certain person might be the one making fun of you for that. You don't. That person doesn't have that same rule applying to themselves. They're allowed to be sad most times. You'll see that they're sad about things, right? Maybe they don't. I don't know. But in reality, you're okay to show your emotions. You're okay. And if you have that burning self-hatred, just remember that you weren't born with that self-hatred. And that someone somehow did something or said something that made you feel that way. And it could be as early as 3 years old. You could have felt that way as early as you were 3 or 4 or 5. Unfortunately, that is just the reality of a lot of situations where people have gone through. And unfortunately, if you've gone through that, there's nothing much you can do. There's really nothing much you can do to stop that from happening. You can't go back in time. You can't change that, right? I understand that. But you can at least tell yourself that it's not my fault and I deserve to feel loved and I deserve to feel like I'm important. And no matter what, like I feel like that's a huge thing for a lot of people. I should really get deep into that. Is that a lot of people, they, I say this because I've read this in books as well of other people's experience. And I also know people who've told me the same thing. Is that one thing that kind of always is the thing that makes us feel like we're trash when we were young is when we were little and we wanted some comfort and we may have been upset about something. We may have just been really, really sad and we wanted comfort. We expressed our emotions at the time, not knowing what we were going to get. And then the person in charge makes fun of us for that. It could be when you were little, you got bruised, you got upset, someone hurt your feelings, and you just want someone to comfort you. But instead, you got mockery. You got like, oh, look at you being upset about something stupid like that. Oh. And what is that going to do to your brain? It's going to teach you that you're bad for feeling that way, right? It's going to make you feel like you don't deserve love, you don't deserve comfort, but you do. And that's something I would have done. Like I would have comforted that person if they really needed it. If they needed it. Not really. If they needed it, I would have done that. It's just that's so sad that some people grew up feeling like they're trash because they weren't able to express their emotions because whatever they did express when they were little were met with indifference or negative, like some kind of negative feedback or something like that. I just think that is just the most tragic thing in the world. If I could, I would make sure every single child in the world is loved from a little kid, that they get comforted when they get sad, because that's so important. And I would never ever want any child in the world to feel like they're not worthy or they're really stupid for feeling a certain way. Because we're all born in the world with the same emotions. We should be allowed to feel whatever we do. You know, we should be allowed to. So why are some people so obsessed with making you feel bad for expressing certain emotions? Like this is just something that's happened in my family, because I've seen it also with my family happens a lot. This is basically the life, is that you're not, like, if you express any emotions that you're upset, then you get made fun of for a long time, to the point where when you dare to express that emotion elsewhere to other people, you almost feel this severe self-hatred against yourself, to the point where you can't even face yourself in the mirror, to the point where you just want to disappear. That has been my experience my whole life. And I want you to know that if you have deal with that, if you had to deal with that, if you're feeling that way, you are worthy, and that is not something you should be feeling. You're worth so much more than that, and you should be able to express your emotions. And that someone has put that wrong idea in your head, and that is not true. So the best thing I can say is that, please, if you feel like you've got to express yourself, if you're sad over something, just know that it's okay. It's okay to feel how you feel. You can grieve openly. You can do whatever you feel you need to let out your emotions. Please know that it is absolutely okay. And who says it's not, whoever makes fun of it, they can get stuffed and sticked up their ass. I don't even care what anymore. That is just the most horrible thing someone can do. Like, the next time, I would like you to try to do this. I'd like you to really question them, like ask them, why is it that you feel the need to make fun of me for having these emotions? We're going to really get into deep. We're going to try to get into their head and try to make them not know what to say. So let's say you're a child and you get made fun of for crying or being sad or whatever it is. The next time it happens, how about instead of just saying nothing, you question them, like, why does it make you feel the need to make someone feel worse? Why is that? Really question them deep. And I like to see their freaking answer, seriously. Because I'm going to do that next time. I'm going to seriously do that. Because I'm getting so tired of feeling like I can't express certain emotions. I can't be upset, because if I am, then I'm stupid or something. That is just the worst thing. So we've gone talking about that to that. And a lot of times when you have the self-hatred, when you have that negative feeling, you're also going to feel a bit depressed about certain things. And you're going to also maybe feel like, oh, I just feel like I'm living a meaningless life because I'm living the same thing each day. These are all entwined. I feel like all these emotions sometimes all come together, and they kind of form this one gigantic, just this absolute endless darkness inside you. And then sometimes it's so severe that you don't even know what exactly is the cause. Have you ever gone through that, where you're thinking what exactly happened to make me feel this way? I just feel so miserable, but I can't pinpoint the one thing that's making me feel that way, because it just feels like everything's coming together at once. And then that's when you have to really think oh my God, I need to really analyze every single thing, because it could be just when you have one thing that goes wrong, your state of mind is like this, right? Normally, you have one thing that go wrong, it could go like this. But if you have a major thing that go wrong, it could go like this. However, if you have multiple little things that are just going a little bit wrong, it could just bring you down, all the way down, and you wouldn't even realize it, because it just feels individually, every single thing feels insignificant and small. And you're like, oh, one of these things is not going to cause that. But when they're all together, it will bring you down. Just like when we're buying all these $2 things, you'll think, oh my God, it's so cheap, right? And I can buy so many things that they're all $2 each. And then you buy 30 of them. Oh my God, how much is that? That's oh crap, that's $60. So it all adds up. Just remember that. I feel like sometimes we even need a little physical reminder that, hey, all these little things are not little when they're mixed together. They're going to get bigger and heavier and stronger. So it's important to even extract the little things that when you recognize them, to deal with them individually. And it really helps if there is at all anyone in your life that can understand and be understanding and help in some ways, to listen to, and just be someone to listen to you expressing yourself. Sometimes that's all you really need, is someone that understands you. That really helps. And I hope you can find that person. I really do. Honestly, if I could, I would split myself into 1,000 and then I would be so happy to just be friends and chat to every single person who needs it. I would honestly want to do that, because that just would make my life so meaningful if I was able to do that. I would if I could. But in the meantime, I can at least try to do my best. And that is to tell you through a camera, through a screen, that you're worth something, and please look after yourself. And don't let those people in your life tell you how to think and feel about yourself. Don't let people in your life put you down to a point where you believe it, please. You have to realize what they're doing. Sometimes what they're doing is absolutely wrong. And if you were watching it from a third person's point of view, you would absolutely see that. But because it's you, sometimes it's much harder to see it. I don't know why. There's just something, we're just blindsided sometimes when it happens to us, that we can't see things. But if you were witnessing that person saying that to someone else, you would immediately feel like how unfair it would be. If it was happening to anyone else in the world, you would immediately know that this was an unfair treatment, or that you shouldn't be telling someone to feel that way. But because it's happening to you, a lot of times what will happen is that you won't be able to notice because it's happening to you. And for some reason, we're just not able to see things ourselves, that we will internalize it. It will just make us feel like we're wrong. And we would never be able to see it logically from another point of view, because if we're in ourselves, unfortunately, that is just something I have learned. And that's something that you will really need to almost like do an exercise on, like, hey, let's try to see this from another point of view. I've always suggested that just really works well, is that you have to see this from another point of view, and you have to see it as like, if I was in someone else's shoes, what am I going to feel? It's probably not going to be how you feel about yourself. That's a very important thing to try out. And just know that other people, like, just know that when you're feeling a certain way about yourself, that is not always how other people feel as well, because that's also very important. It's easy for us to just think that because we hate ourselves, everyone else must. I know it's one of the most easy things to think, that, oh, we're not worthy, therefore other people will see through that. They'll notice it immediately. And that is not what most people are thinking, honestly. It's just not. I just really want you to really pinpoint the cause of why you're feeling so bad about yourself. If it is because of someone else, it is so important to distance yourself as much as you can from that situation. You don't have to completely cut them out of your life. Just try to distance yourself from that situation, so that you're not always being told again and again by the same situation, by the same thing. And sometimes I have learned that in front of certain people, I have to become ice cold and not reveal emotions, because I just don't want to be made fun of. That's what I have had to learn. It's just easier that way. It's like, sometimes that's just the reality. Like, to that person, you may never be able to be fully yourself without like having the acceptance. That's just the reality. They're not going to change. So it's absolutely impossible for you to wish that what maybe one day they'll see through. That's just impossible. They may not ever change. And that's just, you have to be able to accept that. That's something I would have to accept as well. You know, it's like, we have to think, okay, you know what? Maybe there's someone else in our life. Maybe someone we can talk to. Maybe there's someone else. I know it can be hard to trust when someone close to you don't even give you the time of day to comfort you when you're feeling sad. It's hard to trust anyone. I understand that. But you have to know that there are other people in the world who don't act like that and don't feel like that. That they do exist. It's maybe harder to come by, but they definitely exist, because I know how I would react. So it's like, I know that I definitely would react the opposite of just making fun of someone for how they feel. In fact, I would just want to do everything I can to let them know that they're okay, they're still great, and they're allowed to feel how they feel. That's what I believe anyway. And that's what I feel like, that's what I wish everyone believed. But unfortunately, that's not the truth. And we just have to live with that. And I just have to do my best. You know, that's one thing is, But anyway, so we're reaching to the end of the podcast because I am running out of time. So unfortunately, I love to speak more, but sometimes it's like, we just have to just kind of do what we can and do something that motivates you. Please try to listen to something. I know, like I'm speaking now. Keep listening to things that motivate you. It really helps. Sometimes you just need to hear someone else's experiences and motivation, and like just trying to get you to that better place. And I feel like it's very important sometimes to listen to something that makes you feel motivated in the inside. It makes you want to do something and not just sit there and just take it. Just make you want to do something about it. So all the best to you out there. Please take care of yourself.